This video is going to be a little bit different. So, I have been reflecting today on parenting styles. So, for those of you that don't really know me, I love learning about the mind, personality, why I do the things that I do, why others do the things that they do. And there are a few different things that I have learned through the years that I have found really useful just in explaining my own behavior and understanding like the behavior of my children. One of the main things that has stuck with me as a parent and I'm trying to improve upon is characteristics of attachment styles, how they form really early in childhood. So as a parent, you need to know basically like what you're doing is, I feel like, one of the most important tasks that really you can do for mankind is to just consciously raise your child. Understand your impact on them from birth to, when they're grown, but especially when they're really young. How you choose to parent makes a huge impact, not only on how they do in school, but how they feel about themselves on the inside and what type of, human do they grow to be. And then from there, what kind of a partner do they grow to be? And you really want to do your best. So today I've been thinking about attachment styles. I know my own, and I'm trying to work out. My children are a span, so my oldest is 15 and my youngest is 2. And I know how my parenting style has changed as I've grown up, and I can see the differences in their personality types. They're different. They have different personality types, but their attachment styles are also different. And it's a result of me and how I choose to parent. Now, so there are 4 different types of attachment. There is secure, and there is disorganized, anxious, there might be 5, ambivalent, and avoidant. Now, how that shows up in small children, it's reflected differently. So a securely attached child, which the way that you can determine whether your child is securely attached or if you are creating a strong bond, these bonds form when they're young. And so there are 4 basic factors that determine it. So the first one is called proximity maintenance, and that is their desire to be near the people that they're attached to. Safe haven, which is returning, you hear my kids going crazy. Safe haven, which is returning to the attachment figure for comfort and safety in the face of fear or a threat. Secure base, which is the attachment figure acts as a base of security from which the child can explore surrounding environment. And separation distress, so anxiety that occurs in the absence of an attachment figure, so a parent or caregiver. So if the child has all these, if they turn to their parent as this, they know that their parent's going to be there for them, then they meet all these. They have a desire to be near their parent or caregiver. They do return to their parent or caregiver when they feel scared or anxious. Their parent or caregiver is a secure base for them. So that's like that old adage where they talk about, oh, my kid is so well behaved for everybody else, but around me, well, it's because they feel safe. Like it's annoying to us as parents, but they feel safe around us to misbehave and be loud, like my children are doing right now. And separation distress. So that means, they show signs of distress when they're separated from their parent or caregiver. Now, this will create a securely attached child, a healthy, balanced child. That means as they grow, they're going to have good self-esteem, create, lasting relationships, turn to community for help, that type of thing. And so in kids, a secure attachment style would be reflected by the fact that they're okay separating from their parent. They trust that they're going to come back. When they're frightened, they seek comfort from them. When the parents return from being away from them, they greet them warmly, so they're excited to see them again. And they would prefer their parents to strangers. Now, as an adult, that, like I said, good self-esteem, trusting, lasting relationships, they are okay about talking about their feelings because they feel comfortable and safe, and they would seek social support. Now, ambivalent attachment style is 7 to 15% of infants, and they're suspicious of strangers, and this is like a result of low availability of parents. So if they feel, when they turn to their caregiver for support or needs, they're not there. These children grow up to be clingy and overdependent. And so in children, they're reflected as weary of strangers. They show great distress when parents leave, but when the parents come back, they're not really comforted. As adults, they become reluctant to be close with others. They worry that they're unloved by their partners, and they become distraught when a relationship is over. It like sends them overboard. So this is a result of one type of kind of like it triggers an abandonment wound. Avoidant and anxious, it's the same thing. Those are also the result of their needs not being met as a child. Now, people my age and older, a little bit older, we're latchkey kids. Our parents were working, we were fending for ourselves. And while it did teach us a lot of really great survival instincts, it also created different attachment styles. Now, how we respond, what attachment style we have, it's just how we decided to grow, to feel safe, get our needs met, whatever. It's just how did it work out for us as we grew up. Avoidant is, as a child, they tend to avoid their parents and caregivers. It's more pronounced after a period of absence. So they are not really into you when you're around, and when you haven't been around in a while, they're definitely not into you. So those infants grow up to be children, they are going to avoid their parents, seek contact, and they're not going to seek, like if they need comfort and contact, they're not going to their parent or caregiver. They're just, they seek out friends. For teenagers, that's where they turn to others to get those needs met, because they've already learned that they can't go to their parents for that. And they show no real preference between parents and strangers. So as adults, it just creates like problems with intimacy, distancing, what else? And just having a really hard time, speaking on your feelings or thoughts. An avoidant is like, they take care of me, is super independent, because when they were young, they didn't get their needs met as a child. And then the last two, so anxious is the same. Actually, personally, I'm anxious. That's my attachment style. And it was my attachment style. I feel like I've gotten pretty good about it, and now I'm getting to where I'm secure. And you can, if you understand this, you can go from one to the other. You just have to be aware. But it's also from an abandonment wound. Basically, as a child, when your parents weren't around, if they were working or whatever, you were with your siblings a lot, some sought out extra, because they feel unloved or whatever. It's anxious. It makes them anxious. And so they cling, they have a tendency to cling. And the last one is disorganized, which disorganized I thought was a little bit interesting, because at the age of they show no clear attachment style. So at the age of 1, they show a mix of behaviors, but the behavior-wise, or a mix of attachment styles, but behavior-wise, they seem dazed and confused and a little bit apprehensive. They're not sure about their environment. Now, but at age 6, they start to take on a parental role. They start acting as a caregiver to their parent. And so that becomes their attachment style. So you can learn more about all of this, but the cool thing is that if you're conscious, if you are a conscious parent, and this is what I was reflecting on and what spurred this whole thing. I was driving home from work and I'm like, I'm working on me. I'm trying to deal with my traumas and grow and heal and become better. And in that, we can become better parents. And to become a better parent, it's not just like, so from latchkey kids, we become parents in response to how we were parented. We see what we liked, we take some of that, we see what we didn't like, we don't do that, maybe to the extreme, and that's how we parent. But as you become a conscious adult and then a conscious parent, you can become really intentional with how you raise your children, And so this is why you would study this stuff. And so in that, when you become an intentional parent, you can judge how good you're doing by what kind of a response are you getting from your children. There are going to be some things that change, like teenagers, they naturally start to pull away from their parents because they're getting ready to leave the nest. And so hormonally, they're pulling away naturally because they know they have to become on a biological level, hormones and stuff. They know they're getting ready to have to be more independent. But younger children, you can look and see by those 4 things: proximity, maintenance, safe haven, secure base, separation, distress. Are they turning to you? And when you're around them, when you're present with them, especially my age group, I caught that when it used to be, I just thought, I'm here, my kids are here, so I'm being a great parent because I'm in the same space. No, that's not it. Are you present when you're present? Are you available? When your kids at their different age groups have problems, are they turning to you? Maybe not all the time, not every single one, so don't take this overboard, but just generally, do they feel safe coming to you? Are you a safe haven for them? Do they desire to be around you? So do they take some of their free time and come to you? And when you're not around, does it bother them? You can be looking for these things and you can be improving upon these things. And if you notice perhaps maybe their time is spent in a different way or your time is spent in a different way, then you can go out of your way and be a conscious parent, be more present, put this device down and be present with them. Work on it, improve, because knowledge is power. It is. And all I kept thinking about on the way home from work today is this is such a tangled web. So John Mayer sings that song, fathers, be good to your daughters, daughters will live like you do, or whatever. But it basically talks about, being good to your kids because your kids grow up and they become adults, and kids learn from adults. The cycle just goes on and on and on. How do you react with their parent? How do you react with them? How do you react with others? Because they look to you to see, is it okay to come to you with my feelings? Is it okay to speak about if I'm afraid? Am I ridiculed? Am I judged? This goes on. And so when we look truly, when we look at the world problems that are going on right now today, I think it all boils down to this. How do you parent? And if you have no children, how do you adult? No, start to examine yourself and say, okay, well, you know what? As an adult, I do some of these things. And then kind of think back to how you grew up. And understand, like, humans as a species, we are so dependent as a child. I mean, we need to be cared for a really long time. We're not being kicked out of the nest at 3 weeks old, or here you fall down out of the womb and you're, running within minutes or an hour. No, we need nurture and we need care. And if a lot of children just don't get it. And then that's where these attachment styles come from. And once you know what you are, you can fix it. You can be working on it, or you can recognize that, hey, my brain is telling me this. Truly, that's just old conditioning. That's old conditioning. So it's another lens that we look through to judge the world. And some of these have like real body responses, real neurological responses. They trigger fight or flight. So you just got to know about it. But if we have kids in the home, then the very best thing that we can do for mankind, I truly believe, is be an intentional, conscious parent. I'm not going to go into it, but there is a couple other things that I have had my children that have helped me as a parent. I had them take their love language, figure out their love language. And if you want, I can talk about that in a different video because I know this one is already too long. Also, their personality type. That one especially. So I have one of my kids, I did not understand his behavior until he took that. And then, and I thought it was a result of my parenting style. And then I just realized it's how he's wired, and then I could become more intentional about how I parent. So those two, the Myers-Briggs, or you can do the 16 personalities to find out their personality type and their love language so that you are speaking to them in a way that they understand. So these are 3 things that are super critical to, I feel like, become a conscious and present parent with intentional parenting style that will truly make up for a better world. So especially now with COVID, we're spending a lot of time at home and with our children and with our spouses, and we can really be using that time to form better bonds and better parenting connections. So I hope you liked it. Sorry it was long, but I feel like it's super good information. All right. Peace.